What a bummer for J.K. Dobbins. Now, at this point, Gus Edwards is the guy that's probably going to handle the lion's share of the work. We are all aboard the Gus bus here, man.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
May be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Let's talk about J.K. Dobbins. We've obviously already heard that now he is done for the season, ACL tear. Gus Edwards, we are all anticipating to have a huge workload. What surprised me, though, that kind of sort of came out of all this is that Justice Hill actually is not going to be the backup to now Gus Edwards. Some character named Tyson Williams is reportedly the backup to the bus, and this did surprise me a little bit. So, of course, I had to go back and watch a little bit of his game tape. Looked pretty good.
I was going to say, if you don't have a 40 time ready to roll here for Tyson Williams, you can
his
get your
personal,
ass off the show.
Here's the thing. He had a personal workout, okay? And his personal workout 40 was a 4.48. I would probably not say that's accurate.
Number one, what a bummer for J.K. Dobbins.
Yes,
it stinks there, right? Like we know that Dobbins was a guy that was in line for a pretty good year. I had him as the RB, 17, 18 all throughout the process. A player that I think a young guy that really flashed well last year. So total bummer there. Sounds like there's more to it than just an ACL too, which it was kind of like mixed reports whether that's going to be a real rough thing there. But anyways, I think Gus Edwards was a guy that was underrated all year long. I had him as like the RB 30 to 33 range in my tiers, in that same tier of guys like AJ Dillon. And I've talked a lot on the show about how much I like AJ Dillon as sort of a quote flex with benefits. I think Gus Edwards was a flex with benefits. Now at this point, Gus Edwards is the guy that's probably going to handle the lion's share of the work. I think this will be something of like a 60-30 10 split between Gus Edwards, Tyson Williams, and Justice Hill. By the way, Justice Hill, another guy who's been, I think, pretty public about like he's not getting the vaccine or whatever. So another availability type of question there. Maybe Tyson Williams just outplayed him. Justice Hill hasn't played well to this point in the NFL. I liked him as a prospect, but he hadn't been that guy, so far.
Right.
It does seem like teams are bringing that into the calculation too with the whole vaccination stuff. So whatever you think about it, it is what it is. Gus Edwards, though, man, I'm really excited about Gus Edwards, dude, because I think this guy can. I think this guy can play. Like he's been over 5 yards per carry his entire career. Also top 3, I think, in next gen stats yards per carry over expectation metric last year. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit of the Ravens rushing environment and the unique offense that they have that's boosted Edwards' yards per carry, but I also think it's a little bit of the player too. And oh, by the way, he's going to play in this Ravens offense this year, so who cares if it's mostly, if it's mostly the the offense or whatever. Like, obviously, there are some questions in his profile. Like, he doesn't have access to much receiving work. I don't think he's going to catch a lot of passes. That was going to be a problem for J.K. Dobbins as it is. But I ended up slotting Gus Edwards, I think, at running back 22 in my tiers. Hey,
listen, obviously I do a lot of work with next gen stats. And there's so many great numbers, when you talk about rushing yards over expectation. How about yards per carry over expectation? A full 1.1 yards per carry over expectation, which is so unbelievably great. And then his explosive run rate. So I consider an explosive run 10 or more yards, right? His explosive run rate was 11.1%, which was again, really, really good. That's, again, bringing it back to some guys like, David Montgomery or like Cam Akers. It's better than those guys. Like Cam Akers had a 8.2 explosive run rate. Obviously, there's sample size issues here, right? Because those guys got volume and Gus Edwards really did not. But it kind of sort of lets you know, like, okay, he does have it in him. He's not the fastest dude in the world, but when we're talking about, explosive run rates, he's right there. So a lot to get really, really excited about when we're talking about Gus Edwards. Although, to your point, you do kind of sort of have to cap the ceiling because he's not getting any pass work, Yeah. So that kind of sort of caps the ceiling for him. And where he's being drafted right now, in like the 6th or 7th round, I think that's fair. But again,
that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair. But again, it's probably also not like you're probably never going to blow out that ADP either. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, he would have to really outkick that ADP to have to score like 12 touchdowns or something like that, which isn't totally impossible. I slotted Edwards in tier 5, but ahead of guys in that same range, running back 21 there for Gus Edwards with Josh Jacobs, with Mike Davis. So like what you've thought about Josh Jacobs and Mike Davis, I think you apply to a guy like Gus Edwards. And there is still some risk of like a committee here. You know, Tyson Williams, I put him in the running back like 50 something range, you know, because if something happens to Gus Edwards, like this guy, Tyson Williams, is going to inherit a big workload or whatever. And the Ravens do like Gus Edwards, though. Again, they gave him a $10 million 2-year contract, which at the running back position is not nothing. So despite the fact, to put a bow on this, despite the fact that there are questions about the receiving workload, there's just questions about, you know, again, how much touches is he going to get overall? We are all aboard the Gus bus here, man. Like if you can get this guy in the 6th round, I think he has much more upside just from a touchdown perspective than guys like Jacobs or Davis. Dobbins being removed and Edwards being the 1 and then Tyson Williams being the 2. I think that does narrow sort of the expectation of the top guy. Like I think that makes it more clear that he's going to get a bulk of touches in, again, what is one of the best rushing ecosystems in the entire league.